imagine. For me, since I was a young boy, I was told you can do what you want. So if I'm told to imagine something, I'll imagine it easily. But for example, people who are disadvantaged, they don't believe they have the right
to imagine.
To imagine, exactly. So this was something that was difficult, but like I said, everything is a labor, and labor is not a bad thing.
Exactly. What do you think, Zulfiqar? Like, is there any future? Like, I won't try to use this word future because art has its own, dimensions. But if we really happen to think pragmatically here in the context of sin, how do we, like preserve it, or is there any future that could sustain the generations to come?
Future in an artistic sense?
Yes.
In an artistic.
When art can flourish itself and no boundaries on it, or maybe making its way out?
This is a big question. I think so. I think art has a future. And the reason why I say this is because, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything that's happening now has happened before. This country has been through even worse. When dancing itself was banned, there was a time in history where in our own history in Pakistan, where dancing was banned. Even, in fact, still to this day, there are laws that limit where and when dancing can happen. So we've seen worse, we've been through worse, and we still have new generations of people like yourself, like myself, like people younger than you, who have a deep, deep, deep burning desire to dance, to act, to sing, to perform, to make art, to paint. So there will always be a future. There will always also be a fight. And I think we shouldn't be scared of the fight. We must endure the fight, because, like I said, it is our right to make art. It is a human right, and it is a spiritual right, no matter what religion you belong to. But of course, I'll bring my religion up as an example. What is one of God's names? Al-Musawwir, the artist. I mean, God is gracious, God is merciful, and God is the artist, the one who makes. In this sense, we have a God-given right to create, to make art.
Then, as in our society, politics is thought to be a domain where you can have radical changes, you can, change your environment, you can put up some questions, sensitize on them. So how could art do this work? Like, it's about your individual freedom. But when we talk collectively, in a communal way, then has it any potential to change the directions, the way we think, or, the political paradigm? Can we influence that as well?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And that's why there's so many restrictions on theater and dance and performance in our country, because people are scared of the fact that it has a possibility to change our society. So I do think it does have that possibility. It always becomes a matter of access at the end of the day. Who can see the art that is being made? And in the age of social media, you can't stop anyone. You can't stop anyone. Now, I mean, there was a time you could, but nowadays you can't. If people want to learn, if people want to see, if people want to be informed, and they want to see an artwork, or they want to see a film, or they want to see a performance, I mean, it's just
a click away.
A click away at your fingertips.
So what would be the steps? Like, when we think about art and we talk about it, then it becomes, it feels like accessible to everyone, rejecting that bourgeois idea about, cultural capital.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
also have a cultural capital as well.
Yeah.
But if we can access it in a free way, as you just said,
Yeah.
so what would be the steps to systematize this thing in our society? Like, if somebody is not sensitive enough, if the artists are being targeted for their art, for example, women cannot show up freely.
No.
They have their like family to look after and to look after their ideologies. So what are the steps that artists could merge, could come up to a single platform, to a ground, and then share their sensibilities in order to make it a norm, or maybe a standard that could be identified with common people?
I mean, you're asking me essentially what is the reality of Pakistan?
You can think it. See, there are so many stereotypes.
Yes.
As you just said, that when we dissociate, like manual from mental, and
Yes.
we associate something superior with mental work, so art can, desensitize that thing as well.
Yeah.
And the gender binaries and all
course,
these
yes,
issues. So
yes,
we can express what we are,
Yeah.
but the conditions don't allow us simply.
I'll make this anecdotal. I'll tell you a story. I found these, not here in this house, unfortunately, in someone else's house. There were these 4 paintings that were made, and they were hung up at the first ever convention of the Pakistan People's Party. This is 1969.
Okay.
When political parties were banned by Ayub Khan. And the 4 paintings showed a man, a woman, a man, a woman. And it was a farmer.
Hmm.
And then it was and they were all fairly dark colored people. They were workers. They were Pakistanis. There wasn't this fetishization of sort of fair skin that we have today in our society. And there was a farmer, there was a woman graduate, not wearing a headscarf, carrying books. There was a woman scientist wearing a sari.
Wonderful.
And there was a mazdoor. This was the Pakistan that we were about to grow up with. And an image that was anti-colonial, that represented South Asian people, that was very specific, that these are what South Asian people look like. These are what Pakistanis look like. This is what the Pakistani of that time looked like. And it did not, and it exalted the figure of the woman as a symbol of education. As a symbol of the right to education. And the reason why I bring this up is because we're not, is that this was the art that was meant to herald the new Pakistan that they wanted to see. A working, productive, educated, mixed-gendered Pakistan in which women and men were together marching towards a single cause. So that was the potential of art then. Now let's look at government art now. You don't even see people in it.
Okay.
The art that we have in our institutional spaces does not exalt, does not praise industrious men and women. And that is the power of art. Where do you see art like that in Pakistan in public spaces? You don't. So this is the potential of art, is that it can, if we had, in the public sphere, if we have art that shows that people are allowed to be different things, then people will be different things. Did that make any sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
one must have freedom to experience and to make what one thinks of oneself.
Yes.
So that, I think, art has that capacity to allow us our personal freedom.
Yes.
Aakhir mein, if I can call comrade Zulfiqar Bhutto, अच्छा, जीअं त पाण ॻाल्हि ॿोल करे आयासीं त मुख़्तलिफ़ ख़ितनि में मुख़्तलिफ़ जॻहुनि ते मुख़्तलिफ़ माण्हू आर्ट खे सेंसिटाइज़ कनि था, मुख़्तलिफ़ ग्रुप्स पाण में गॾिजनि था जेके हिन ते ॻाल्हि ॿोल रखी सघनि। त करंटली असां ॾिसूं था पिया त सिंध में हिकिड़ो अहिड़ो ई प्लेटफॉर्म उभिरे थो पियो, लतीफ़ आर्ट जे प्लेटफॉर्म सां, नाले सां। कमु त उन्हनि जो इलाही पोयां आहे, 2016 खां 2017 खां आहे, बट हाणे जीअं सोशल मीडिया जो ज़मानो आहे त पोइ उन हिसाब सां हुननि जा पेजिस आहिनि, यूट्यूब चैनल्स आहिनि, उहो कमु करे रहिया आहिनि, मुख़्तलिफ़ अवामी पार्टियुनि सां बि कमु करे रहिया आहिनि। त तव्हां जॾहिं उन्हनि सां मिलिया आहियो या उन्हनि खे परखियो आहे त तव्हां कीअं था ॾिसो त लतीफ़ आर्ट जो जी टीम जेका आहे उहा कीअं कमु करे रही आहे?
सो असांजी मुलाक़ात हुन इवेंट ते थियो आहे, पंहिंजो
नसीराबाद सोशलिस्ट स्कूल।
सोशलिस्ट स्कूल। ऐं मुंहिंजी मैंने ये बड़े अप्रिशिएट किया कि आपके साथ माई जिंदो भी मौजूद थी, जो हमारे सिंध की एक हीरो है और एक ख़ास औरत है और एक पावरफुल औरत है, who really went through a lot in her life. And you spoke about her life, you showed her life, you made people aware of her life, and she was the distinguished guest of that performance also.
And that was our honor.
Yes, of course. And but I you know, and I think this is something that we're missing in the arts. You know, so many people like to talk about other people or marginalized people or oppressed people or other people's struggles without including them, right? But the fact is, I mean, it was such a beautiful moment to see everything coming together. The person's story was being performed with the person present in the room. And there was a sense of camaraderie that was developed between the audience and yourself. You made an audience of strangers, brothers and sisters of one another, comrades
मतलब
of one
चई
another.
सघूं था त लतीफ़ आर्ट जे प्लेटफॉर्म दा अवामी कमकार थिए पियो,
बिल्कुल
थिएटर जी जीअं ॻाल्हि ॿोल रखी आयासीं पाण, तो अवाम सां ई तव्हांजी पंहिंजी फील्ड सां रिलेटेड हिकिड़ी शइ आहे, त माना लतीफ़ आर्ट बि उनखे निभाए थो उन कम खे।
बिल्कुल, ये दिस इज व्हाट आई सेड।
सही। तव्हां सभिनी जो तमामु घणो तव्हां सभिनी जा तमामु घणा थोरा, त तव्हां असांजे प्रोग्राम में तव्हां आया, असांखे टाइम ॾिनो, ऐं असां दिली तौर ते इन ॻाल्हि जो शुक्र कंदासीं त तव्हां आयो, असांखे टाइम ॾिनो, बिकॉज़ तव्हां हिकिड़े आर्टिस्ट जी हैसियत में असां तव्हांजो नरेटिव ॾेई सघिया आहियूं पंहिंजे प्लेटफॉर्म तां, इन जे लाइ तव्हांजी घणी घणी महिरबानी। आख़िर में तव्हांजा लख थोरा कि तव्हां असांखे टाइम ॾिनो ऐं तव्हां पंहिंजे हिकिड़े ॾाढे बिज़ी स्केड्यूल मां असांखे टाइम ॾेई पंहिंजे घर घुरायो ऐं पाण ही इंटरव्यू करे सघियासीं ऐं आवाम सां वधीक पंहिंजी ॻाल्हि ॿोल चिटे अंदाज़ में करे सघियासीं, इन जे लाइ तव्हांजा लख थोरा महिरबानी।